he would literally eat Archie Gray for brekkie. The goalkeeper is going to get the ball a lot. They pass the ball to the goalkeeper a lot. If you look at Spurs, you can see the bias is huge towards this right-hand side. Right, hello everybody, welcome back to The Golden Sky. I'm Tom. Today it is the match preview for Spurs v Liverpool tomorrow night. We're going to go through everything you need to know about this game. We're going to look at both teams on the board. I've got clips of Spurs to show you. Liverpool go into this game 2 points off fourth and only 10 points off top spot. Somehow, if you smell what the Rock is cooking, a win here, it could be looking good. Let's get into the preview. Okay, starting off with Liverpool and my predicted 11, this is how it looks. So we have Alisson in the net, Conor Bradley at right back with Konate, Van Dijk and Kirkes alongside him in the defence. Gravenberch anchoring the midfield with Jones left centre mid, Szoboszlai right centre mid, Florian Wirtz number 10, and Ekitike and Isak starting up front together. Now, guys, I'll talk a little bit about injuries and stuff as we go here, and I just talk to you about the team. But I will say this predicted 11 was one of the most difficult ones I've made all year. I usually think I'm pretty good at reading on a slot, reading Liverpool. I don't know what my percentage success rate is, but I'd say it's pretty high at predicting the Liverpool team for the Premier League games. I can usually predict when a player's going to get a rest. I can read into his quotes pretty well and see when he's going to start somebody. Today, really difficult. Reason being, we have a few injury concerns and we have a few players who maybe all deserve to play but probably all won't. Now, let's start with right back. This is an easy one. Conor Bradley's going to come back into the team. This is because Joe Gomez obviously picked up an injury against Brighton, although apparently that's not as bad as first thought. He's only going to miss maybe 1 or 2 games by the looks of things. Who knows with Gomez, though he is actually made out of polystyrene. And then we do also have the boost that Jeremy Frimpong is confirmed to be back in the squad by Slot in his presser today. So he's probably going to be on the bench. I'd be, frankly, amazed if he started. He'll almost definitely be on the bench. So that's always a boost. And then we're going to have the question mark over Szoboszlai. Now, he picked up that little ankle injury against Brighton, but Slot said in his presser today that he trained some parts yesterday and it was a wait and see for today how he gets through the session. Now, Slot said if he manages to come through the session without any pain or does all the things that he's supposed to do, then he's literally said the words, he will start. I personally think that's exactly what will happen. Sobbo doesn't seem like the type of player to really, if he's got like a little bit of a knock, not play. I think he's definitely going to say that he's all right. So therefore, I think he's going to start the game. That's why I have him in. He's played almost every minute for us in the Premier League so far this season. I see him starting again here. So the only other player then that could start this game for me is Alexis McAllister. So it's a question of who comes out if he starts. Now, Slot loves McAllister and he plays him a lot, and he's definitely done a little bit better in previous weeks, as has the rest of the team. But Curtis Jones is definitely going to start. I mean, I'll give you a quote from Slot on Jones in the presser this morning. He said, he's done really well in the last 3 games, and it's not the first time, but maybe since I'm here, it is 3 times in a row for the first time. He did very good performances. Maybe I don't like them as much as I did recently, so it's a challenge for him to go 4 or 5 games in a row. I think what he's saying there is he's loved Jones' performance recently and he wants him to do it consistently even more and more. So much confidence, so much work rate, really comfortable on the ball. Last 3 performances are the base for him to go on, and that starts tomorrow against Spurs. That to me is just screaming that Jones is starting. We all know Gravenberch is going to start. Ekitike is definitely starting this game, 100%. Also watched his day in the life video that Liverpool made the other day. This guy is a top fella. If you haven't seen that, go and watch it. He's a boss fella, this guy. Honestly, love him. So that to me means if McAllister plays, it's going to be one of 2 positions. It's going to be Florian Wirtz or it's going to be Alexander Isak. Who, I don't know. If he does play, I don't know who it'll be for. And I've gone for the team without him in. Because I can't see Slot putting Isak on the bench 2 games in a row. Personally, I think Isak will come in and start this one. Given the fact that he was benched against Brighton last week with the little knock. I think he starts this one. Wirtz, I'm like 95% confident he starts. If I had to put money on it, say McAllister was going to start for somebody, I would probably bet against Isak. Wirtz, for me, has been excellent the last couple of games. I think he deserves to play again in that number 10 role, and I'd love to see him play behind Ekitike and Isak. Against Spurs' high line and leaky defence, I would love to see those three maybe be able to form a bit of a partnership together. That's what I want to see. So, do we have any other talking points with injuries? I don't think so. I think Mo Salah obviously is at AFCON now, so any talk of him is going to be shelved for a little while. We still, however, have Kara mouthing off on every single podcast or show in the history of the world about bring on the war. This guy needs to settle down big time. There's a picture right there. That picture right there is a 13-year-old me and Jamie Carragher. Yeah, when I played against Liverpool. I might have to take it down because this guy's doing my head in, honestly. He is driving me up the wall at the minute. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. Cody Gakpo is still out injured, although Slot said he had a positive scan and he might be back sooner than most feared. Sooner than once feared, which is great. Well, depending what side of the Gakpo camp you're on, I suppose. So, what else can we talk about for Liverpool? Well, it's our first full week without a game since August, so that's not including the international breaks, because obviously the players have to go and play in those international breaks. This is the first full week where we haven't had a game at all for any players since August. Slot said that he's liked that because he's been able to work with the players on the training pitch, maybe get some messages across that he might not have been able to with the congested fixture schedule. So I am expecting then, Arna, Liverpool to come out the blocks and be absolutely unbelievable against Spurs in that case. That's what I'm hoping, right? That sounds reasonable. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to look at Spurs in more detail in a second, but I think there's going to be some key battles in this game. The first one is going to be Kudus against Kerkez. Spurs, I'll show you later. I have some good data pictures to show you on how Spurs attack and progress the ball. A lot of this attack from Spurs comes through Kudus. He's the danger man, in my opinion. I know we've not got names on the board yet for them. I'll do that in a minute. But Kudus and Kerkez, it's going to be a good battle, similar to Minter against Kerkez last week. Kudus is a small, strong, pacey winger who wants to go either way. Very dangerous, got a good cross, good powerful shot. Kerkez is going to have to try and match him 1v1 in these areas quite a lot. Can we get Jones over to help out? Who will defend for us in the 4-4-2? If we play this way, with Ekitike and Isak, they're going to press as the front two. Will we press like we pressed the Inter and drop off in sort of this formation? It ended up in a bit of a 4-3-3 when we didn't have the ball. Will we do that, or will we adopt a formation like we adopted against Brighton, where Wirtz comes out to this left wing and we go 4-4-2 when we're in rest defence? Who knows what we'll do. I personally, against Spurs, would prefer this option with the 4-4-2, given the fact of how often they get this ball out to Kudus on this left-hand side, left-hand side for us, right-hand side for them, and they want to get players around him, and they push really high up the pitch, just like this, and the idea is to get Javi Simmons involved, and then some nice interplay down here, and try and work crosses into the box, or get to the byline and cross it in. I'd like to see Wirtz be able to come and help out here, especially if Pedro Porro plays, which I believe he will, and come around, and maybe Wirtz can help Kerkez deal with overlaps that happen like this. That's going to be something to look out for 100% in this game. Another one to look out for is Ekitike against these two centre-backs. Ekitike is definitely starting. I'm not sure on Isak. That's why I've focused on Ekitike, and he's going to play on that left-hand side of the centre-backs more often than the right-hand side. That's just how he tends to line up, whether Isak's in the team or not. This will be Romero for Spurs. A good battle for him. Romero, a good centre-back, extremely physical, wants to have a battle with you and have a good sort of physical game against the striker. Can Ekitike handle that? Slot said he's been impressed with his fitness levels in recent weeks. Is Ekitike able to make runs in behind when Spurs are high like this? Can he make runs in behind? Can Jones, who's likely going to be in positions like this when we're building up, let's give Liverpool a sort of in sort of a build-up phase position here. What we've been seeing recently is something that looks a bit like this, with Jones on the ball. Can we maybe play out of a press like this and have Ekitike make runs where he's running in behind. Maybe we can find balls over the top. Maybe Wirtz can drop in, play balls in here, maybe find Kirkes and then spin it in behind. Things like that. Ekatike against Romero, staying away from Van der Ven, who has the recovery pace, is going to be key in this one as well. So let's get Spurs on the board and look at them and how they might line up in this game, and we'll talk a little bit more about them there. Okay, so how will Spurs line up then in this game? Well, I think it's going to be Vicario in the goal, Porro at right back with Romero and Van der Ven at centre-backs, Spence at left back, pretty much their first choice back five. Bentancur I have as the holding sort of central midfielder, with Sarr and Bergval just ahead of him. Kudus on the right, I have Richarlison up front, and Javi Simmons on the left, although he does tend to come inside quite a lot and play almost as a number 10 most of the time. So let's leave him here. That's what I have. There are other options for Spurs. I mean, João Palhinha could play in this middle for any of these three. Probably Bergval, if I had to say, would be the one who comes out. Sarr probably heads over here, and it ends up with Palhinha as that anchor, but that's not how I have it at the minute. Richarlison also could see his place in danger with Kolo Muani maybe getting a start here. Although I do back Spurs to start Richarlison. You know, he scored a few goals recently. They had the performance against Nottingham Forest last time out, which was disastrous. I think Richarlison, you know, could maybe cause us more problems than Kolo Muani. He scored against us before, whether we like it or not, he has. I don't know, he seems to get a lot of criticism from Spurs fans, and then he knocks up with a few goals. It's what tends to happen. We know about his battles with Van Dijk over the years. We know about the amazing moment where Alisson was time-wasting against Everton after he'd been time-wasting all game long. Honestly, one of the funniest moments I've ever seen on a football pitch. That Alisson fall-over moment. You all know what I'm talking about. But if I see this fella doing the pigeon, doing this, on Saturday night, then I am fuming. I'm getting the next train to London to get myself down to that Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and I'm starting to throw hands, let me tell you that much for free, because I don't want to see that. But Spurs, I mean, look, they like to play with a high line. Thomas Frank has them playing that kind of way, so they're going to be pushed really high up the pitch. When they build up, which they do relentlessly, by the way, build up from the back. We're going to talk about that in a second when we look at some photos. They like to invert the left back, and then everyone sort of shifts over. It's a bit strange the way they play, really. They like to invert the left back into the middle. Van der Ven will kind of come wide, and they'll try and play out like this. Simmons comes into the middle. There's a huge right-hand side bias. I'll show you some data on this later. All the attacks for Spurs basically go down this right wing. They want to pass out from the back all the time. We've seen errors against Forest of this. I'll show you them in a second if you haven't seen them already. They're actually 6th in possession this season, Spurs, so they can keep the ball quite well, but the attacking numbers aren't great, and there's been a lot of criticism from Spurs fans on the type of football they've been playing. 17th in XG for the season so far, 17th in shots on target, only 13th in big chances, I think 15th in big chances missed. So they're not even making many big chances to even score them or miss them. And the 8th worst XG. So they're giving up a lot of goals, or expected goals against, not really creating that many to score. So they have been struggling a little bit. They are 11th in the league. That was a bad result for them last week against Forest. We would know. We had one similar a couple of weeks ago. Spurs beat both these teams, lost 3-0 to Forest in recent weeks, which is crazy. At home, interesting stuff here. Spurs are awful. I mean, awful. They only have 2 wins all year at home. They are 17th on the home table. Their only wins have come against Burnley on the opening day of the season, I believe, opening game of the season, and Brentford, their most recent home game. They only have 1 win in 8 games in the Premier League, all in all. Not just at home, all in all, I'm talking here. So they're not in a great moment, Spurs. There's been a little bit of pressure on Thomas Frank, which I am surprised at. I do think he'll get given plenty more time. I actually do quite like Thomas Frank, to be honest, so don't know how much I blame him for Spurs' troubles, but he certainly, against Arsenal in particular, got it wrong, and we'll look at that game in a little bit more detail as well in a second. But I think Liverpool really need to get at Spurs when they try and play out like this. Let's draw them up how they would try and play out. So The goalkeeper is going to get the ball a lot. They pass the ball to the goalkeeper a lot. There are no stats on how many times a goalkeeper gets past the ball in a game, but I reckon Spurs will be at the top of that list. And if there are stats on that, somebody point me in the right direction. But if we can match up with Spurs like this, Bentancur is going to drop right in here and try and get this straight pass. They want to get the centre-backs wide, and then they want to move the ball out to the full-back. That's what they try and do all the time. So if we can push right up, maybe our press the last couple of weeks has been a bit better. If we can get right up against them like this, Bergval's going to also drop in and do similar. I don't necessarily need us to go man-to-man like I've just kind of put us in on the pitch like right here, because Gravenberch is definitely going to not be so high. He doesn't tend to push right up like that when the other team has the ball. But there's no reason why the rest of these guys can't get up. And if they're inverting Spence, he's going to be also a way for them to get out. We're going to need Szoboszlai to come and cover that ground. So hopefully he's fit to do that, because that can be an option for them to be able to escape. Maybe they can turn the ball around here. And if Szoboszlai's late on his press, they're away here. And Isak certainly isn't going to be the one to come and make those recovery runs. And if they can get Javi Simmons in space, that's when we're in a little bit of danger. He started to find a bit of form, a couple goals in his last couple games. Also got an assist as well in the home win against Brentford, which he also scored a really nice goal in too. His first for Spurs, that was in that game. So there's a lot to sort of think about in this one, but I personally think we have a great chance here. If we press Spurs, they are shaky, they are low on confidence. Ours is building, certainly, over the last 5 games. I think we're feeling a little bit better about the season now. I certainly am. A little bit better about our formation, a little bit more sure of our players, a little bit more sure of our best 11. That also helps. We can maybe catch Spurs in not the greatest moment and score some goals, crucially, in this game. Our defending, obviously, will be important. We've been better at defending in the last few weeks. Let's see if we can keep it up here against a team who are generally struggling to score goals at home. Let's go and look at some clips of them in the recent games they've played, where I'm going to show you some of the vulnerabilities of this Spurs team in a bit more detail. Alright, so here's some photos from Spurs' recent games. This is the most recent one against Forest. I'm going to show some of the things that maybe Liverpool can get at in this game to help us get a result. So, like I was talking about earlier, Spurs love to pass the ball to the goalkeeper. It's their favourite thing to do. If it was going out of style, Spurs would bring it back in. They just love it. Passing back to the goalkeeper is like, get in, we've given it to Vicario again. And he's a bit of a nutcase. You see here, Romero gives him the ball, happy days. Here he is on it. No real danger here whatsoever. And this goal has already been analysed by some people on Sky. So if you've seen this type of analysis for this goal already, then you're going to see it again here. But they're right in what they say. Vicario should just kick this ball to Van de Ven. I don't know for the life of me why he doesn't. Well, actually, I do know why. It's because he's coached not to. He's coached to pass this ball into the middle because they want to get the ball wide then when the pressure comes and they can get out of a press. The idea is doing that rather than doing this gets them up the pitch quicker. If they pass the ball here, Jed Spence is not stood on this touchline. He's brought inside. So then Van de Ven doesn't necessarily have a pass and they can't go anywhere. So Archie Gray is brave and shows for the ball. And Vicario passes it to him. Now, Cara made a big deal about this being a pass on his weak foot and not being a great pass. It's not the best pass in the world, but I don't think it's also the worst pass in the world. I don't really like goalkeepers doing this pass, a straight ball to a midfielder with someone coming to press them for the exact reason you're about to see. But it happens a lot, whether you like it or not, in modern day football, and most of the time, it's not a problem. Now, this pass comes into Archie Gray. The problem here is that he takes a touch, and that touch just kills him. He's not able to give this ball out wide first time on his right foot because the ball doesn't come to his right foot. He's not able to get it there, and that's the criticism of Vicario's pass. He's not able to get the ball out there, but for me, can he maybe shield the ball a little bit better? I think yes. We're not here to maybe criticise Archie Gray. We're here to just look at Spurs' build-up style. Sangare pounces on the ball. Can you imagine if this is Szoboszlai? He would literally eat Archie Gray for brekkie like a big steak. Dominic Szoboszlai would just run over with his big, beautiful haircut and just rob the ball and carry on with his day. And the day would include running through on goal, 2v1 against the goalkeeper, like Forest do here, pass the ball across and score easily for 1-0. If we get goals like this, I'll be absolutely buzzing. Now, a bit later in the game, this is going to be Forest's third goal, and it amazes me when I watch this clip of just how passive Spurs can be when they defend. And I'd like to ask you all, if you've watched any of my videos this season analysing Liverpool, does it remind you of anybody? This, what you're about to see now. Do you have any flashbacks to anything we've seen this season? Because Forest passed the ball out wide. There's no challenge on the winger. They're just standing off. Everybody's ball watching. Look, every single Spurs player is just staring at the ball. Nobody is, even at the left back, nobody is looking anywhere else. Everyone's ball watching. I mean, this ball can even come over to Gibbs-White, who's making a great run into this gap here. It doesn't. It comes back to Sangare, who appears, as if by magic, out of thin air with not a single Spurs player anywhere near. They don't get out. There's no real commitment to try and block the shot. He takes the free shot. It's a great strike. It goes in. It's 3-0. But even look at the space in the box. I mean, even if he drops this one off to Gibbs-White, there's a 2v1 over on this side. It's just not good defending from Spurs, and they are very, very leaky at the back. We look at more evidence of this against Arsenal, and this is something that I noticed that in the way Spurs like to defend when there's a winger. Now, we might not necessarily play with too much width tomorrow if we employ the diamond. The width that we do employ will come from Conor Bradley, so this might be him in this situation, whereas it's Saka for Arsenal. And in this game, Spurs specifically were absolutely terrified of wingers going one-on-one with fullbacks. They do not want it to happen, no matter what. So you see here, Saka is one-on-one. Now, they could just leave him one-on-one here and back the left back to try and block the cross or make a tackle, and everyone mark up in the middle, but they don't do that. They get Palhinha to come charging across, vacate his middle area of the pitch, and you see now, around the ball, they've got three men in close proximity. Bentancur isn't really in a great position at all. And look at the middle. I mean, Arsenal have 3-4 players, if you include Calafiori, in so much room, who Saka is clever enough to find. He finds Eze, he dinks a little ball over the top. Declan Rice comes onto it, has the volley. They're so lucky not to concede here. This was 2 minutes into the North London derby. A bit later on, we see similar. Saka again has played the ball inside, this time to Timber. Look at the players Spurs have around the ball. This is a centre-back, Van de Ven, left-back, centre midfielder. You know, this is a winger, really deep, followed Timber. Another midfielder here, coming towards the ball, coming towards the wing. Look at the space in the middle. Again, I'm going to draw a huge box where there's just basically no Spurs players whatsoever. If we can do this, where we have Bradley give us width and they come across like this, we should have many, many centre midfielders on the pitch. Players who can do damage in central positions. I think it's something we can really get at in this game. If we have Ekatike, Isak, and then we get Wirtz in this area, you imagine where Eze is. You know, we've got Jones here, Szoboszlai here. I think we can do real damage in this game if Spurs defend this way. Timber plays the ball inside. You see, they don't recover. They're too slow. Marino has all the time in the world to chip the ball over the top. The defensive line, they're nice and high here. They don't want to go too deep into their own box. Arsenal take advantage. It's a good ball. Trossard gets onto it and he scores a goal. And that's the first. That was the first goal in the North London derby. Again, another example. Same game, same half. This was a disaster class from Spurs, really, in this game. Saka wide. You see the magnitude he's brought alongside him. Again, Van de Ven coming out. They've got more players just all over on the wing. Even Romero has come across. And again, look at the space in the middle that Arsenal had to work with. So much space. And again, everybody just ball watching for Spurs. Saka plays the ball inside, makes its way to Eze. I mean, he has so much room because of, look at all the bodies Spurs have on that left-hand side of the pitch coming across, desperately trying to get back across because they're so intent on not letting players go one-on-one out wide. Arsenal score again through Eze. Again, same game, same situation. Arsenal have the ball wide. Spurs have 8 million players wide as well, trying to stop Arsenal from going one-on-one. They always want to have an extra player over here to help out on the wing, but Arsenal just play through it. We have more players in the middle now for free for Arsenal. One of them is Eberechi Eze, who gets the ball and once again scores. He's got a hat-trick in this game. Playing as number 10, I'm thinking, you know, is this going to be the game when Florian Wirtz gets his first official goal for Liverpool? I flipping hope so, because I want it more than I want air at this point in time. So, what the Spurs do well? Well, I've got a short clip here to show you something that they might do well, and this is a hallmark of Thomas Frank's football, if you ask me. This is against Brentford, so the most recent home win they had before things collapsed the next Premier League game against Forest. This is a classic Brentford-style goal. The ball is with Porro at the back, or in settled possession, really, and Javi Simmons is going to make a run that we've seen Brian and Burmo make many, many times for Thomas Frank. He runs in behind, Porro finds him, and if you imagine this is Ivan Toney or Johan Visser or whoever Brentford have had over the years up front, Simmons plays the ball across and Richarlison knocks it in the net. It's a very simple goal, and it can be a style that suits Spurs. When they attack with a bit of pace and intent, they're actually quite dangerous. It's when they tend to go really slow and quite a defensive approach to a game that they tend to struggle. Now, they seem to be correcting that with wins against Brentford and Slavia Prague with a couple goals in those games as well. But the loss against Forest will have just depleted confidence so much, and I think we can take advantage of that in this game coming up. So just to back up quickly what I was saying on the board earlier about Spurs' right-hand side bias, I got some pictures here to show you of the build-up phase, the progression phase, and the final third phase of possession for Spurs. So the bigger circles, if you're not familiar with these type of graphics, mean that the player is on the ball more, essentially, and that they are more involved in whatever phase of play it is. So you'll see in the build-up, they want to get the ball to the centre-backs and to the right-back, with Kudus also getting a few touches of the ball in build-up possession. You see the position for left-back, he's playing as a centre-mid. They almost go with like a 3-3-1 sort of shape in build-up. They're not going to really ever play down this left-hand side. You can see the left winger barely ever touches the ball in build-up. Same with the number 10. They don't really want to get them involved. Now, once they get out of that first phase and they get into the progression phase of play, Kudus is even more heavily involved. The ball, again, comes into him all the time. Now we're seeing the number 10 and the defensive midfielders get on the ball, but we're still seeing that inverted left back. We're seeing Kudus is one of the most advanced players, with Porro not far behind supporting him. And that only continues in the final third. Porro, or whoever plays right back for Spurs, right next to Kudus, and you see everybody else, when it gets to the final third, moves away from Kudus because they want to isolate him 1v1. This is where Kirkes is going to have to be on his game. Everyone else is moved away. You see how there's almost a clear divide in the pitch. And that's because they want to get him 1v1 where he can cross the ball in. Maybe you can do inverted crosses like this. And you can get the striker, the number 10, the left back coming into the box to try and overload at that back post and get some headers or tap-ins on goal. We also see here the attacking zones for each team where they threaten. If you look at Spurs, you can see the bias is huge towards this right-hand side, as I've been saying all video. A couple of times they'll go right in this final third part of the left-hand side. I feel like that's not necessarily by design. That maybe is when Kudus has crossed the ball and it gets overhit, because all the play tends to come down here. Whereas Liverpool, you see, is really, really balanced. Incredibly balanced, actually, across this entire pitch. Left, middle, and right, our attacks are pretty evenly spread. We don't really tend to have a preferred side, preferred method of attack. We're dangerous from all areas, and I think that even is more amplified in a diamond shape when we have players like Wirtz being able to roam more freely across where he sees the space. So that's a little bit more data for you to take in the points that I'm making from this video. Let's go and do Super 6 to finish off. Alright guys, Super 6 this week then. Let's have a little look. Man City against West Ham. There's only one way this is going to go. Wow, 0% of people think West Ham will win. If you play FPL, I'm going to be triple captaining Haaland this weekend. I think this is going to be an absolute demolition of West Ham. I might go 4-1. I might give West Ham one goal. There. What did the pundits think? 4-0 and 3-0. Yeah. Brighton, Sunderland. Ooh, tough one to call this one. Brighton probably due a win, and Sunderland have had an amazing run. I'm wondering if away from home here they might fall a little bit short to Brighton. Let's go 2-1 to Brighton. Bournemouth, Burnley. Burnley looks so bad at the minute. Let's go 2-0. 2-0 or 3-0. What do the pundits reckon? Yeah, I'll go 2-0. That seems fine. Liverpool, Spurs. Probably going to be a high scorer. There's been 4.5 goals averaged in the games Liverpool v Spurs since Slot took over. So I think this one also could be a high scorer. I'm going to go 3-1 to Liverpool. That's what I think here. Everton, Arsenal. This could be a really good game, and people not really giving Everton a chance. Best believe I'm going to be Everton all the way Saturday 8 p.m. Let's give Everton a go, but Arsenal probably going to take it 2-1, I'll say there. And Leeds Palace really struggling at the minute, so I am actually thinking of giving Leeds a 1-1 draw. Or maybe a 2-1, what do we reckon? Cara goes 1-1. Fuck Cara, 2-1. It's 2-1 to Leeds. 5th minute for the prediction. That's Super 6 done and dusted. Right, that is going to do it for today's video, guys. I really do hope that you did enjoy. And I want to ask you all, these are match previews. I'm interested to know if there's anything you guys would like to see, maybe that you already see in the videos that you enjoy, or things that you'd want me to put in here. I'm always thinking of ways I can make the videos better for you all. So if you have any ideas, please do drop them in the comments and I will take them all on board, I promise. So anything you'd like to see in the match previews or anything you don't necessarily enjoy, please do tell me. I do really appreciate the feedback. So drop those comments below, drop your score predictions below as well of what you think the game will be, Spurs v Liverpool. Guys, the support on the channel has been amazing. Again, I keep saying it at the end of videos at the minute. I am so grateful. Since the last one, when I was almost on 300 and I asked if we could hit 300 by Christmas, after previously asking if we could hit 250 by Christmas, we're up to nearly 350 already, which is just unbelievable. So like target on the video is now going to be 30 likes per video. Let's see if we can get to 30 likes in this one. We've been absolutely smashing that recently, so let's keep it going and get 30 on a preview. That will be great. So hit that like button if you haven't already and subscribe to the channel. I guess the goal is now 500. Let's aim for 500 subs. So if you haven't clicked subscribe and you're new around here, click subscribe. Let's get to 500, which is absolutely crazy to be asking for, to be honest. But that's where we are. Podcast listeners, follow the show, 5-star rating and reviews. Thank you very much for listening. If you did do so, I hope you did enjoy. I'll be back with the ratings tomorrow after the game, of course. Until then, have a good weekend, have a good Friday night, and I'll speak to you all tomorrow. Goodbye.